What did Jungkook say that made Taehyung break down in tears and left millions of armies around the world crying too? Could this be the most emotional message he's ever shared since the terrifying break-in that nearly shattered him? Stay until the end, leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe, because this story will touch the deepest part of your heart. What if the most heartbreaking words you've ever heard didn't come from a movie, but from the voice of someone you've admired for years, trembling, fragile, and honest? What if those words came from Jungkook, the golden magne of BTS, standing before a crowd that loved him more than life itself, trying to stay strong after the unthinkable, the break-in that almost broke him completely? It was supposed to be just another fan meeting, a quiet moment of connection in the middle of BTS's hiatus. The venue in Busan was filled with warmth and excitement, but no one could have predicted what was about to unfold. When Jungkook walked onto the stage, he smiled, that familiar, comforting smile that fans had missed so much. Yet beneath the surface, something was different. His eyes told another story. There was pain, there was exhaustion, and there was something deeper, a truth he could no longer hide. Taehyung was standing beside him, his arm gently brushing Jungkook's as if trying to remind him that he wasn't alone. The air was heavy, almost trembling with emotion. And then Jungkook spoke. His voice was calm at first, soft, almost whispering. But as his words continued, the weight of everything he had been holding inside began to show. "I thought I was okay," Jungkook began, looking down, his fingers trembling slightly around the microphone. "But that night when someone broke into my house, I felt something I'd never felt before. Fear. Real fear." His voice cracked as he said it, and the entire hall fell silent. The thousands of armies who had gathered to see him suddenly forgot how to breathe. "I realized that no matter how strong you think you are, no matter how much love the world gives you, sometimes everything can collapse in a single moment." Taehyung turned toward him, his expression softening. It was the first time fans had seen Jungkook so raw, so vulnerable. Cameras flashed, but the moment didn't feel like entertainment, it felt sacred. And then Jungkook's next words pierced through every heart in the room. "I couldn't sleep for days," he continued. "I kept thinking about what could have happened if I had been there. I kept asking myself, am I still safe? Am I still me? But then I realized something. Safety isn't always about where you live. It's about who stands beside you when everything falls apart." The crowd gasped. Many armies were already in tears. The trembling in his voice carried the pain of nights filled with anxiety, the echo of doors creaking in the dark, the ghost of footsteps that didn't belong in his home. It wasn't just about the break-in anymore, it was about what it took from him. His peace, his trust, his sense of safety. Taehyung couldn't hold back anymore. He stepped forward and pulled Jungkook into a hug. The audience erupted into sobs, phones shaking as fans tried to capture the moment that no one would ever forget. Jungkook leaned into him, his voice muffled against Taehyung's shoulder as he whispered something that only those closest to the stage could hear. "I'm trying to be okay, Hyung. I really am." Taehyung's own tears began to fall. The bond between them, already unbreakable through years of shared pain and laughter, became something even stronger in that instant. Something spiritual, something beyond friendship. And when Jungkook looked back at the fans, his eyes glistening under the stage lights, he smiled again. Not the forced smile of an idol hiding behind perfection, but the fragile smile of a human being choosing to heal. "You know," he said, turning toward the crowd, "I thought I lost everything that night. But then I saw all your messages, the love you sent me, the way you all waited for me to come back stronger. And I realized I'm not alone. I never was." The hall erupted into applause, but it wasn't the usual cheering sound of excitement. It was an ocean of tears, gratitude, and love. People held hands. Strangers comforted each other. Jungkook's pain had become their pain, but his courage had become their hope. Then, as if to seal the moment forever, Taehyung whispered something into Jungkook's ear. The cameras caught only fragments of his words, but fans could read his lips. "You're safe now. I've got you." That was it. The final push that shattered every wall Jungkook had built around his heart. He broke down completely, crying openly in Taehyung's arms. And in that moment, every army in the room cried with him. What followed next felt almost surreal. The lights dimmed, the background music faded into silence, and Jungkook raised his head again. "I want to say something," he said softly. To the person who broke into my home, I forgive you. Not because what you did was okay, but because I need to heal. And I can't do that if I keep carrying this anger. The entire room went silent again. Forgiveness, the very word that no one expected to hear, came out of his mouth with trembling grace. It wasn't weakness. It was strength in its purest form. I hope wherever you are, Jungkook continued, you realize what your actions did. Not just to me, but to everyone who loves me. I hope one day you learn what peace feels like, because I'm trying to find mine again. His words echoed like a prayer, rippling through every soul present. Even those watching the live broadcast online felt it. Comments flooded in within seconds. We're proud of you, Jungkook. You don't deserve any of this. You're loved always. When the event ended, Jungkook and Taehyung walked off stage together, their hands brushing once again. The hug, the tears, the forgiveness. It all became one of the most emotional moments in BTS history. Fans left the venue still wiping their faces, holding on to each other, whispering about the boy who had turned his trauma into hope. And yet, one question still lingers in the minds of millions. How did Jungkook find the strength to stand there and forgive? How does someone who's been hurt so deeply still choose love over bitterness? Maybe that's the real message behind his words, that healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing light, even when you've seen the darkest nights. For armies around the world, Jungkook's message has become a lifeline, a reminder that pain doesn't make you weak, and vulnerability doesn't make you broken. It makes you human. And sometimes, being human is the bravest thing you can ever be. If this moment touched your heart too, share your thoughts below. How did you feel when you saw Jungkook cry in Taehyung's arms? What part of his message stayed with you the most? Let's keep spreading love and strength the way BTS has always taught us, by standing together, no matter what. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because more stories like this deserve to be told, remembered, and felt. Because somewhere in that silent, tearful hug, between two brothers who've weathered fame, fear, and heartbreak, lies the truth Jungkook was trying to tell us all along. Love is still the safest place to be. As the lights in the Busan arena dimmed, the echoes of Jungkook's trembling voice lingered in the air like a haunting melody that refused to fade. The crowd sat in stunned silence, unsure whether to cheer or cry, unsure how to process what they had just witnessed. Even as the closing music began to play softly in the background, not a single fan moved toward the exit. They stayed, as if leaving would somehow erase the raw, sacred moment they had just experienced. Behind the stage, Jungkook sat quietly, still holding the mic in his lap. His eyes were red, his breathing uneven, but there was a strange calm about him, the kind that only comes after you've let your soul speak. Taehyung sat beside him, his arm around Jungkook's shoulder, his own shirt damp with tears. For a long time, neither of them said a word. There was no need to. The silence between them was louder than any applause. But when Jungkook finally spoke again, it wasn't for the cameras or the fans. It was for himself. I used to think showing pain would make me look weak, he said softly, his voice hoarse. But when I saw everyone crying with me today, I realized it's okay. It's okay to not be okay. Taehyung nodded, his gaze warm and understanding. You don't have to carry it alone anymore, he whispered. You never did. Outside, fans were still waiting. Some held banners that said, "Stay strong, Jungkook," and "We're your home." Others were silently praying, hands clasped together, tears still streaming down their faces. No one cared about autographs or photos anymore, they just wanted him to heal. It wasn't fandom anymore, it was family. Later that night, a short clip from the event went viral.